If you ask Ennio Morricone, is not Ennio Morricone. He is not the man at the barber shop telling the barber to go a little shorter on the sides this time. He is not thinking, I have to be in New York, I have to be in London, I don't want to have to go to a barber in those places. He is not the man walking down Via della Madonna dell'Orto with a newspaper under his arm, with freshly shined shoes, with the watch that he had just had fixed. He is not Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone is dissolving. Ennio Morricone is not the man in front of Pasticceria Balzani seeing the reflection of Ennio Morricone in the glass. Ennio Morricone is not the man sitting now at a cafe with his newspaper on his lap, with scribblings of notes, rests between notes on his napkin next to his saucer, an embouchure of coffee on the lip of his cup. He is dissolving. Ennio Morricone is not Ennio Morricone any more than you or I are Ennio Morricone. Except when he rises right now from his table and he tries to get his ears above the snare brush and timpani of the streets to hear what he thought at first was a siren, but then he realized was a bird that anyone else might mistake for a siren. He is dissolving. Ennio Morricone, rising from his seat, becomes Ennio Morricone for a moment. And he holds that moment. His ears trying to find that bird. His ears running through the streets to find that bird. And then Ennio Morricone sits again. He sits and tries to remember when he was that man. He tries to remember when he wasn't dissolving. When he, Ennio Morricone, was Ennio Morricone just a moment ago, rising. In order to become Ennio Morricone needs to first dress like a gentleman. Always a jacket, usually a tie, pressed pants, leather shoes. Ennio Morricone needs to have his haircut every Monday in order to become Ennio Morricone. He needs to sit at the same seat, at the same table, at the same cafe, at the same time, every day, except Sunday. Take his espresso after a glass of sparkling water while staring straight ahead. In order to become Ennio Morricone, Ennio Morricone needs to rise from the same seat, at the same table, at the same cafe, at the same time, precisely 23 minutes after sitting down. He needs to count out his change in his palm, place it just so in his receipt, take his jacket from the back of his chair, put it on if it's cool, fold it neatly over his forearm if it's warm, and brush any crumbs, though he knows there are no crumbs on his pants. And then nod to the waiter in the doorway and step out onto the sidewalk and place his hat on his head and look at the sun over the buildings across the street and walk as calmly as he walked here. Ennio Morricone must not let anyone know that these notes that are in his head are about to explode out of him as soon as he returns to his apartment, as soon as he sits down again at his piano. In order to become Ennio Morricone needs to keep this secret. He needs to walk down one street and across the next with this secret in his head, past the old man sitting in his chair outside his building, the old woman sweeping the stairs. Ennio Morricone must never let them know that he is anything other than a man of precise routines, a man bothered by only what bothers us, concerned about what only we are concerned about. And finally, in order to become Ennio Morricone must sit at his piano. He must sit at his piano and exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale again, and then say to himself, he must say to himself, I have done what I have needed to do to become Ennio Morricone, and now I am.
Bravi.